You are listening to the audio portion of the QB Power Hour webinar series. The QB Power Hour is a free bi-weekly webinar series for accounting professionals presented by Michelle Long and Dan DeLong, who are very passionate about the industry, QuickBooks, and apps that integrate with QuickBooks. You can find out all the details about the webinar series at qbpowerhour.com. So without further ado, here's Michelle and Dan.
Welcome everybody to another QB Power Hour. Today's topic is new tools for the accountant in QBO. We're very glad to have you joining us today. As you know, we're using Zoom now, and so if you have some questions for us, please type them in the Q&A box and try not to use the chat box. And Dan and I will try to monitor those and answer those verbally as we can throughout the webinar today. So please try to use that Q&A box instead of chat. That makes it easier for us to just monitor one central location. But we're very glad to have you joining us today. My name is Michelle Long, and I'm the owner of Long for Success. I've been a trainer for Intuit for the past 13 years now. Author of 5 different books. Those are all available on Amazon, so you can check those out if you're interested. If you're starting your practice now, you might want to check out the How to Start a Home-Based Bookkeeping Business. I know, some people are now starting a accounting practice, so check that out on Amazon. Co-host of QB Power Hour, and glad to have you joining us today. Check out the Facebook group there for QB Power Hour. That's a great place to continue the discussion after this event today, after this webinar. Dan, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dan DeLong, owner of Dan With, and former Intuit and technical support trainer and writer. A new project I'm working on is the chief content creator at School of Bookkeeping. So coming up in today's QB Power Hour and upcoming, we have today being the QB accountant tools. So some of the new tools that came out, if you haven't taken the recertification exam, they're in there too. So you can supplement today's webinar with redoing that in this certification exam as well. And we have coming up next week, we'll have QBO Advanced. All QBO Advanced can do. Erin Walsh-Dyer is going to join us, and she's going to highlight some of the QBO Advanced features. Then after that, we'll have WebGility will be joining us in simplifying accounting with e-commerce. And then we'll go back to the QBO Advanced with case studies with some industry leaders. We're going to have a panel discussion, so it's going to be a round table, but no table, and it's not going to be round. But we'll have a panel discussion with some industry leaders. And then the 21st, we're actually looking to relaunch or redo a niche nuance, this time with legal. So if you have some legal clients or looking to get into legal, that would be a good one to join us. And then we'll back to QBO Advanced with the roadmap. Where is it going? So we've talked about where it's been and how it's gotten up to this point. Where is it going for that? So we talk about QuickBooks tips, what's new, what's troubleshooting, plus as well as some marketing, pricing and apps. And then here's some links to our PDF of the slides, as well as the recordings are all on Michelle's YouTube channel, as well as a podcast. So if you can't join us, there's definitely some opportunities to join us or to watch on your own schedule.
That's right.
So
all right.
Today, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
So today we're going to talk about a couple of new bookkeeping and accounting tools that are only for accountants. And this is going to be just for QBO. So there's a month-end review as well as a business performance. Now, if you're looking for desktop, that we did do a accountant tools QB Power Hour. So we provided the link for it there. So if you're really focused on desktop and you want to understand some of the accountant tools in desktop, just go ahead and watch that and review that QB Power Hour.
Yes, client data review tools. All right, Dan, you want to launch our first poll? What
Yes.
version of QuickBooks are you using? As Dan said today, we're talking about QBO, some new tools that are available for accountants in QBO, QuickBooks Online. What are you using? And if you're not using QuickBooks Online, or if you're not a member of the Pro Advisor program, you should go ahead and join the Pro Advisor program. It is free for QuickBooks Online. I can put the link on where you can go to sign up for that. If you haven't signed up for that yet, it is free for QuickBooks Online. So I encourage you to join that. As part of the Pro Advisor program, you do get QuickBooks Online Accountant free. So you'll have access to the tools we're talking about today. bit.ly/PAP_join. So I just put in, and I did it to...
You put it in the chat.
I know, because...
You're violating your own rule.
The chat is for us. Hold on, let me get this correctly. PAP, because I did it to just us, Dan, _ all lowercase, PAP_join. I can't talk and type at the same time. All right, bit.ly/PAP for Pro Advisor Program _join. And that's where you can join that. And those of you asking about CPE, we don't do CPE any longer. If you need CPE, continuing professional education credits for CPAs and certified bookkeepers, if you need that, go to qbtrainingevents.com, and we've got that link on the next slide here.
Okay, so sharing the results here. Both is leading the pack with 64%, followed by QB Online. So 30% of our audience is using specifically QuickBooks Online. So majority of our folks will definitely get something out of today's Power Hour.
Yes. Well, very good. We're very glad to have you joining us there. Okay, and somebody's asking a why question. Why did Intuit so radically increase the price of our Pro Advisor annual subscription? We don't answer why questions.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah, I'm the can guy. So can QuickBooks do something? Michelle is the should it do that? But we never answer why questions, and we're not Intuit folks. We work with Intuit, but not for Intuit.
Right. So that would be a good question for Intuit folks.
Yeah. Which they'll be joining us next week. So if you want to ask that why question, we can
bring that back next week. Very good. Very good. All right. So let's talk about the client overview that we have available first. And on each one of these, I've got slides you guys can look at as a reminder for you. But then I'm going to be popping into QuickBooks, or Dan's going to be popping into QuickBooks to show you this. So first of all, as a client overview, I wanted to show you this one as a reminder. So on the left-hand navigation bar, you'll see overview, and then that first overview tab. And later in this session, Dan's going to go over the business performance tab. So let's go ahead and pop into QuickBooks. And this is a fictitious company here and a fictitious firm. So things are not going to look normal because it's just stuff that we use for training and stuff. So under that overview tab that I had mentioned, first of all, you can review the company setup, which subscriptions they have for QuickBooks, what payroll subscription they might have, is sales tax enabled or not, any third-party apps that are integrated with that subscription. You can see that information. At a glance, you can see the banking information here. Whoops, I clicked twice on it, where you can see all the bank accounts, the bank balance in QuickBooks, what unaccepted transactions have been downloaded, and they didn't accept it or whatever. And then what are the unreconciled transactions? So they might have gone ahead and added or matched them, but they haven't reconciled yet. So these are sitting in for review. These are in the reviewed area. And then what's the last date that they reconciled? And you can see this sample company. We got stuff here. We haven't reconciled this for 4 years. So, keep in mind that this isn't a real company, but you can take a quick review to see at a glance where things are and stuff. But this is the great area that I wanted to talk about, because today's all about tools for us accounting professionals to make our lives easier when we're working with our client files and reviewing them for errors and mistakes and things like that. When we're talking about a review today, I am not talking about an accountant review like CPAs do compilations, reviews, and audits. This is not an official formal formal review like a CPA would do. This is where we accounting professionals are reviewing the books for mistakes and errors and things like that. So it's not a formal CPA type of review. So just keep that in mind. So under common issues, this is great. I love this tool because we used to do this manually each month or each quarter or each year for our clients when we're reviewing and cleaning up their books. We always want to look at undeposited funds. If there's 7 of them sitting out there, that may or may not be okay. They may legit have 7 checks sitting in the drawer that they haven't taken to the bank yet. Or you may see a huge number here. Like one time I had somebody that had $300,000 of stuff sitting in undeposited funds because things were never going in and out like they were supposed to. If you review the undeposited funds account, you can see a bunch of these are reconciled out here. Somebody's actually reconciled it. But what you want to do is look through and see, are they checked off as going in and coming back out? Let me go down to the very bottom. No, there's still, somebody actually reconciled the account. But you want to look for check marks so you can verify that things are going in and coming back out, because that's how undeposited funds is supposed to work. What happens a lot of times is they don't follow the right workflow and things go into undeposited funds and never come back out. So you want to monitor that because you need to clean that up if they haven't done it correctly. I've got a video on my YouTube channel from years ago. It was on desktop that I made it with desktop, but it still applies to QuickBooks Online on how to clean up undeposited funds. Also,
Actually,
go ahead.
With when you do a deposit, that's when QuickBooks actually reconciles that for you.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So when you make a deposit, it goes into undeposited funds as available. Then when you make that deposit, it actually puts that R in there for you. So if you looking at it, if you're looking at what's unreconciled in undeposited funds, you should see the same ones that are waiting to be deposited as unreconciled transactions in undeposited funds. So that's just kind of how that works.
Thank you for that clarification. I love that. So that's great. We do want to monitor, make sure they're using undeposited funds correctly and teach them the proper workflow. We also want to review, have things gone into uncategorized assets, income, and expenses. That happens from where they review those bank transactions, but they don't assign it any account, and so it goes into uncategorized. Review your agings and see if you have a lot of agings. Do you need to write off some invoices or follow up and figure out what's going on with your open bills? And opening balance equity should be what? What should OBE be? Opening balance equity? Zero, right? We shouldn't be putting things in there. So if there's a balance there, you need to go investigate, find out what happened so that you can fix that. And then also, this is great, negative asset and liability accounts. Have you ever seen somebody where they have like Visa and it's down in the liability section and it's got a negative balance? Or they have a savings account with a negative balance. So when account balances are negative of what they should be, you want to investigate and find out what's going on. If I go look at a balance sheet and I see fixed assets and I see the cost is a positive number, accumulated depreciation is negative, and that's okay because it's supposed to be negative. It's when accounts have the wrong balance that you want to be concerned and check them out. So this little overview area is a great place where you can start kind of doing a review for looking at things to seeing how things look. But then we have what we really wanted to share with you is the new, relatively new month-end review. And again, so you can see how it's called like a bookkeeping review. This is not an official CPA type of review, okay? This month-end review tool is awesome. I love it. I'm so thankful for Intuit. So here, and you can see it's beta, so they're still working on it. So I encourage you over here in the upper right corner, see where it says feedback. Send Intuit your feedback. Say, I would like to see this. Can it include that? Please do this. So send them your feedback. You can change the period of the review up here by editing that if you'd like to. I'm looking at it January through April, which is the previous month end date. So transaction review, any open issues. Are there a missing payee. If there's a missing payee, that's going to show up here so you can investigate and fix it. Also, any uncategorized things that we just saw in the overview tab, you'll also see any uncategorized transactions here in open issues. Did they download something and post it to uncategorized income, expense, or asset? Those will show up in here as well. So you can click directly on that and it's going to take you into that transaction so you could fix that as needed. But here's where it's really great. Look at these additional items here. And Dan, I think we need to launch a poll question. I jumped right into it because I was so excited.
So excited.
I did get so excited. Let's go ahead and launch that poll question because I just love these tools that Intuit is creating for us accounting professionals.
Yeah,
so I think that
what kinds of tools are you using for task management? Are you using spreadsheets? Are you using some kind of project management software, the tools directly inside of QuickBooks, or just are you going by your gut? I've done it so long that I know.
And somebody was asking back where I was showing the undeposited funds and how they were marked reconciled. And somebody wanted to know if they're all reconciled, how come there were 7 there? Well, I didn't show the second page of those transactions. And plus, these companies are ones that we trainers use. We enter all kinds of crazy different things. So things often don't make sense. Like you'll see too, like under payroll, we pay payroll all the time. We never pay our payroll taxes. We'd be in jail if it was legit. You know, so you'll see things. I know you'll see things that don't work right just because it is a sample company. So don't get concerned about that. And I like this too. Rich, hi, Rich Kane up in Chicago area. He says, as accountants, we hate the opening balance equity account. You'd think by now Intuit would eliminate this box when entering something new. Rich, I hear you. And I wish they would, because what happens is somebody sets up a new customer and they put, oh, well, you know, I just did some work for Dan and now he owes me $500. So I'm going to put an opening balance of 500 and it posts it to opening balance equity. Instead, you should create the customer and then create the invoice. So yes, I wish that would go away as well. Keep sending Intuit feedback. And Dan, when it comes to talking about tools for task management, do you want to mention the work tool we have?
Yeah, so if you haven't checked out work in QBOA, that is a great way to kind of tie all this stuff together. Because one thing, it allows you to delegate to other people. But you can create your own tasks and projects, and Michelle's going to talk a little bit about what you can do in the month-end review. But you can delegate and create your own workflows, and then put dates to it, in addition to going into this month-end review. So always going to check that out too. So in the sharing the results here. Spreadsheets are leading the pack here. I didn't think that would be the the top one, but knowing some accountants and how much they love Excel, I can see that actually being the top one here. But tools inside of QuickBooks is also right up there. Other project management software, because sometimes the things that are in there just aren't exactly fitting what you need, and sometimes you need to go outside of that. And a lot of experience out there as well. Just 22% gut feel.
Mm-hmm. And Dan, somebody says, I thought they were abandoning QBOA work. I haven't heard of that. Yeah,
and if it were, we couldn't either confirm nor deny.
Good point. Okay. And a couple of people have said, why would I not have the month-end review showing? You do need to be in QBOA. So go through QBOA and open a company. You have to open a company. If you're on your client dashboard, you're not going to see it because it's pulling data from a company data set. So you have to open a company. Okay. And when I tried to go into Craig's Design and Landscaping from QBOA, when I tried to go into that sample company from QBOA, I didn't have access to it in the sample company, even going through QBOA, where you have other accountant tools. So I'm not sure why that is, but if you go through QBOA and open a company, you should see that. All right, are we done with the poll there?
Yep, and a lot of people are having difficulty getting to the handouts. On the emails that come out, from Zoom, from the webinar, the link, the short link is right there. So if you do need to grab the handouts, I don't know what's going on live here today, but it's there.
Mhm.
It's a whole folder of everything from 2020. So you should be able to access it and download whatever slides you need and handouts. Because
Yeah.
we all love PDFs.
And we can always post the link in the Facebook group after the fact. So don't worry about that, because a lot of what we're doing, we're showing you. So again, you can see I'm in QBOA. I have a company open here, Larry's Landscaping, and that's where then I can see that month in review. Okay, so let's look now at those additional items. So I love this to-dos here. Things that you should be reviewing. Check for transactions without a receipt. If you require your clients to have a receipt for absolutely everything, maybe it's a nonprofit organization, so you can look for if there's transactions with no receipt. Look for personal transactions that they may have gotten mixed in there. And always, always, always encourage your clients to open a separate account, whether it's a bank account or a credit card account. Open a separate one for business use only. They can open, if they're a sole proprietor, they can open a personal account, but just use it for business purposes only. Don't commingle those funds. But we do want to review for personal transaction. Review for loan payments. You want to go in and you can look at the loan payment account, that liability account on the balance sheet. If you don't see any payments going in there all year long, they've been posting it. Like, let's say they have a truck loan. A lot of times you go look at truck expense or car expense on the P&L. That's where you're going to find the loan payments. They don't know that they're supposed to split them between principal and interest. A lot of times what accounting professionals will do when it comes to loan payments and depreciation is set up a monthly recurring journal entry. Now, with a loan, you and I both know that based on that amortization schedule, the interest rates vary every single month. So a lot of times what people will do is they look at the amortization schedule, say, what's it going to be over a year? What's the balance going to be next year? Divide by 12. And go ahead and have that a recurring entry for those loan payments, or at least use recurring amounts for those. You could set it up as a bank rule so that it would automatically apply to the principal and interest accounts. Then at year end, you adjust to the actual amortization statement, because you might be off a few pennies due to rounding differences. So review for those loan payments. Also, we already talked about reviewing your undeposited funds. If there was any cash transactions that they didn't record, check on that. Talk to the business owner about that. Getting those bank statements. Review for fixed assets purchase. That wasn't on here. I added that one on here, and some of the other people may have added some of these other ones. I love that you can add things. So I might want to add check depreciation to see check depreciation expense was recorded. Go in and look to see, and you could put the details in here, make sure entries for depreciation were made, whatever. You can create your own to-dos on here to help you make sure you do everything every month. So I think this is awesome, and you can keep adding things on here as you need to. So it's a great tool for us to make sure we're getting the work done. So first we review things, we clean things up. We may want to come up under our accountant tools as you're reviewing things to be posted correctly and stuff. You may need to come under reclassify transactions and use this tool to review things to see were things posted correctly. Do I need to move things that were personal into the owner's draw account, things like that? So you can use that reclassify transactions tool to review them and reclassify and fix them all at the same time. So, and also if you identify things that need to be written off, don't forget we have that write off invoices tool, but pay attention when you use that tool. It's not always appropriate in all situations. But after
beware.
Yes. Yeah. And I'll just remind you, if they have closed transactions that need to be written off from a closed prior period, or sales tax payable was involved, you'll want to go through and do a credit memo instead. So you use that tool to identify the invoices you need to write off, but then you'll want to do a credit memo so you can control the date of the write-off and can control the sales tax payable so that it gets adjusted. That's covered in the advanced training materials in module 3. So you'll want to go back and review that. And if you're not ready for the advanced test, you can still access that, the training materials. So after you do your transaction review and cleaning up some of that, Then we want to go into that account reconciliation and again, make sure things are reconciled. One of the things that I just want to remind you here, you can review the status of when they were last reconciled and stuff. If you have things like employee advances or retainers or things that are not a bank and a credit card account, don't forget you can and should reconcile other balance sheet accounts. So if you had employee advances where, let's say Dan needed $1,000 advance and I give him that and now I'm withholding it from his paychecks, I want to keep reconciling that so I can see when it's all been paid back. And you can stop that payroll deduction.
Customer deposits,
customer deposits and retainers. Yeah. So some of those other accounts, you'll want to reconcile those as well with a zero balance so that you can reconcile them and make sure they're okay and clearing out as well. Then you've got your final review tab over here, where you can go through and again, take a look at some, the balance sheet. And again, you're looking for unusual and unexpected balances on the balance sheet, your profit and loss, look at your agings, review the unpaid bills. You might want to add on here to monitor open invoices because when you look at that open invoices report, review for unapplied payments or credits. So somebody might have a balance out there showing up, but it might be that the payment wasn't applied to the invoice. So maybe you want to always review that. Whatever it is that your client tends to make a mistake of, go ahead and add to that there. And then you can see you've got a review here where it's going to pull up that report for you so you can review those things. So all of these, again, are under the month-end review. And I think it's a great tool to help us when we're doing some of this for our clients throughout the year. Don't just wait till month end or year end to do these kinds of things. If you can try to get your client on a monthly basis, that's awesome, or at least a quarterly basis. So you're cleaning things up throughout the year, not just waiting to year end. And somebody says, I missed where I find it. How do I find that? Okay, I am in QBOA in a client's company. So I have to have a client open. I'm in Larry's Landscaping, and then under Accountant Tools, very top here, month end review. I love this thing, and I just love that Intuit's investing in things that make our lives easier. So hopefully you guys like that as well. Somebody says, I see the month end review tool in QBOA, but not in another client's QuickBooks. Are you still going through QBOA? It might be that it hasn't been rolled out. Dan, are they still rolling this out?
It very well could be in the month, since it is, as you did point out, it is a beta. You may see it in some clients and not the other, but as long as you are an accountant, you should have that on your clients, when you go into your clients.
Right.
We were discovering as we were playing around here that it's not in the sample company.
Yes.
And it's not in your books. So like if you go into your books in the QBOA, it's not in there either. So you can't do your own review, but you can should be able to do it on any of the clients. Now, if you don't see it, then it may be just not available for that particular cluster. But everyone that we looked at, I mean, any client that I went into seemed to have it. But yeah, and somebody else noticed that this is only for U.S. So if you have a Canadian version, I don't think it's available just yet in the Canadian QBOA.
Yeah, I just checked 3 different client companies and it was in all of them. Like, let me go. I just was in there. Let's go and look. I just checked 3 of them and it was there. Maybe I would think maybe it's not in self-employed, but I haven't ever checked self-employed, so I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reconciliation even in
right.
I mean, you can't even reconcile in self-employed. So
yeah, all the companies I've just checked, it has been in. So again, you need to be going in through QBOA. This is an accountant tool, not just logging into your client's QBO. You always should be going in through QBOA with your own accountant user login information. Okay, Dan, how about we transfer it to you and you start showing them the business performance because that's a pretty amazing tool for us to help with our clients as well.
Okay, I'm going to launch a poll first while we're doing that. So how often do you have planning meetings with your clients? Maybe you're too busy putting out fires, so you're in the urgent, important quadrant where you're just doing that, or maybe monthly, quarterly, annually, or it's just not in your scope of work. So let me go ahead and share my screen while you're doing that. Alrighty. Okay, should be seeing my screen here.
Yes.
And of course, everything that was Zoom just got covered up by what I was sharing. I'm going to stop sharing for a second here so I can put it in the right place.
All right. And I will try to answer some of these questions. We have lots and lots of you all, hundreds of you all on this webinar with us. And it's just Dan and I. So we're trying to answer all of your questions. But remember, join us in the QB Power Hour group after the fact. And some of you are helping each other with the chat, which is great. But there's so much there now. I can't monitor it all. So that's okay, too.
All right, so we'll go ahead and end the poll and share the results. Looks like quarterly is the most common option for having those regular reviews. So that's really what we want to talk about with business performance, because this is a great tool to be able to have those regular planning meetings with your clients. Again, it's a QBO A. Sorry, my cat is joining us. So he may jump over me in a second here. But business performance is really nice in that it's real easy to understand. Now, this is only available as the accountant, and it also is available in QBO Advanced. So you don't have to be the accountant to see the business performance. I was actually working with a client, and I was going to show him this, and I didn't realize, I forgot that it was only an accountant only. So I had him go to reports or overview, and it wasn't there. And he said, "Oh, that's not fair." But share screens, and I could send this to him. So it really allows you to build that value added service that you build or that you have as accounting professionals. So the key metrics is the first section here. It is real easy to kind of understand because they color code it for you. So green is good, red is bad, and you can compare the current period versus the prior period, and it will just show income, cost of goods sold, gross profit, expenses, and net profit all at the top there. So that's kind of like your dashboard, your speedometer, so you can get an idea and show them, just at a glance how they're doing. Another areas, so if you have any questions about financial ratios, Michelle did some great webinars a few years back about profitability ratios and liquidity and cash flow ratios, so you can review those if you need to. And then there's trends. So down below the key metrics is going to be trends, and those are going to have some gross profit margin, net profit margin, income, expenses, accounts payable days. So some of the things that you noticed on the overview tie right into to these graphs and trends. The nice part about this is that it looks at the last 12 months and compares that to the prior year. So you can see and use this as a starting point to figure out where is your client's business cycle. Maybe it's in the middle of the year. Maybe they have busy seasons and not so busy seasons. So that is going to be a great place for you to, invest in advertising or, make those recommendations as far as when they need to do those things, as opposed to just doing it by gut feel. Every trend is going to have a hover over. So how that is calculated, will have the you can hover over that, and then it will give you an idea of where that is actually coming from. And then there's also going to be a link to an associated report. So if it is something that deals specifically with profit and loss, like this gross profit margin, you're going to get those figures from the profit and loss, so you can launch the report right from that area, and then drill into those numbers to validate that. If like in this case, we wanted to see, well, what happened in October? There's a big dip here, so you can go into the profit and loss, run it for that period, and then see where those numbers came from. Maybe there was something that they knew happened a year ago.
And Dan, could I make a comment too?
Sure.
When you are using this and reviewing things, like Dan just said, and comparing things from this year to last year stuff, sometimes when there's unexpected and out of ordinary events that happen, remember, you can put notes on the financial statements. So it's a great idea. Like, let's say if there was a hurricane, or if there was a flood, or it was exceptionally hot, or there was road construction and the road was closed for 2 or 3 months or whatever, put notes out there, sales lower than anticipated due to X, Y, and Z. Expenses higher due to air conditioner broke, whatever. Put notes out there on those financial statements to help when you're doing a comparative analysis like this, to remember, why is there such a huge fluctuation from last year? And you may say, oh, okay, now I know. It helps you to explain these things. You may think you're never going to forget. Like, you may think we're never going to forget closing down from coronavirus, right? But you may forget some of the specific dates and things like that. And so it doesn't hurt to document these things, because, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years from now, it helps to have those notes available for you.
Yeah, my same client that I was showing this to, he changed the way he was doing business with the Postal Service, and it was a huge revenue drop from October to November when he actually did that. But he was actually, including some more in his cost, as opposed to just seeing it all in revenue and then showing it up in expenses. They would give him, just the difference. So it was understandable to see that, and but that's a good point to actually make a note of that, because if he shows that to a prospective buyer because he wants to sell the company, they would need to explain that. It's like, well, what happened here? Now on the trend, you can hover over each data point, and it's going to give the detail of what that number actually is, so that you can validate and see what those numbers actually are. But really, using this business performance with your client, you would use this as a way to review past trends. So this is kind of like the conversation point. So when you have that quarterly or monthly or annual review, you use this as a conversation starter. Doesn't necessarily mean, okay, well, this is what this is what you did, too bad, so sad, right? I mean, because you look at a car, the windshield is so much bigger than the rear view mirror. But this is your rear view mirror. So this is where you want to set goals and then use that to check your progress as you're having these continuing conversations with your clients. And then you can export this. So up at the top in the upper right is an option to export it. It automatically creates it as a PDF. So you can then just save that and share that with your client. It is each report or each trend will have each data point plotted out as well, so you can see that particular time period and what the last 12 months was, and whether that was a plus or minus from before. So I have over here. So this is some live data. I just went into the QBOA, and the QBOA does have the business performance in here. So very little data in this sample company, but you can see again, by hovering over these areas, you can get where that number is calculated. There also is, so we have gross profit margin, the net profit margin, income, expenses, account payable days. So again, we tied that back to the bookkeeping month-end review. We can see the days that it takes to get paid or make our payments, and then current ratio and quick ratio. Again, if you need further explanation as to what these are, but this is really the health of the business. If you had to liquidate everything, how would you be able to pay that off?
And those video links to prior power hours talked about the details of these ratios and explained it more in depth. And so for those of you that want to go back over that and stuff, listen to those previous ones. You had the link there in the slides. And I just posted another link to the slides. So hopefully that will help some of you that said you couldn't get the link to work.
Now, some companies, Sam had a question in here. Some companies, and this is really where QBOA is leaping ahead of desktop. Sorry, desktop, but industry standards. This is the cool part of what Intuit is able to provide insights into you. Actually, I did have a client here, a customer here. I'm just going to go in here. I was looking at his earlier. Once it goes in. This is new. So on this screen, you can choose the industry, and then you can edit that if it's there. If it's available to put in, then you can put the industry benchmarks. You can choose what industry they're actually in, and then that will give you an additional line to kind of compare how that business is doing across all other businesses like that. And then again, this is really where QuickBooks Online is really taking the advancements, because this is allowing you to take that data. Now, this is only relevant for good data, and then there's criteria that they use, to be able to put that data in there. So not just by somebody saying that they're in the motion picture and video production industry, there's some quality. And I think Michelle, was that in QB Connect when they were talking about the accuracy and efficiency score. So that's something that they're going to be using to be able to qualify the data that's in here. So it's not just anyone's data flowing into here, and it's all anonymous. So it's if you're concerned about that sort of thing.
The other thing that's so fabulous about being able to compare yourself to industry averages is a lot of times these businesses don't know, what percentage should I be spending on payroll, or should I be spending on advertising or on supplies or whatever. And especially if it's a new company, they don't even have last year to compare to, so comparing to industry averages, it can help them with budgeting as well as evaluating how they're doing compared to the industry averages. And it's a great conversation to have with your clients. And this is where they don't understand this stuff, but we do, and we can help them with that. What can they do to change their numbers to address their shortfalls? If they're not meeting industry averages, what can we do to help improve and things like that? So, and being able to see it right there on these charts and graphs is awesome. And several of you are asking about getting these reports to show and share with your client. Dan's going to show you in a little bit how to export them.
Yeah, so we'll just jump right into that. So here in the upper right, you would just click on export. As soon as I do that, it will download it, put it in my downloads folder so I can create an email. We were looking, somebody put in a question, can this report be inserted in the month-end management reports? That's a suggestion, but we were trying to figure out how to do that, and we weren't able to realize that during right before. But yes, that would be an awesome add to be able to put that in your management reports so that you can send out.
Right. So like Dan's saying is, your management reports you can get in a Word doc and or a PDF. This is going to export as a PDF. There are tools out there that will allow you to combine PDFs. Like I use Adobe Acrobat there, but there's other tools. So if you Google combine PDFs, you could then combine, so you could have your management report and attach this to the end of it if you wanted, or put this at the, I'd probably put the management report at the beginning because you got your title page and all that stuff.
Yeah. So this is what the exported report actually looks like. So it breaks down each trend and then gives you data points as well, so you can go through that with your client. So anything else that we want to? I couldn't remember. Let me go back to the slides, actually.
Well, and another thing, Dan, is at the top of that in the key metrics, you can go ahead and go into the slides. At the top of that, the key metrics, I love the color visual. The ones that are good are green. And you notice, look at the first one, it's under income. You see 130% increase, and that's green, and that's good. Cost of goods sold is a decrease, but it's still showing as green because we decreased our cost of goods sold. It's still good. So just saying something increased doesn't mean it's good or bad. You have to look at relative to what it is you're looking at. So the visual is really helpful here. Is it good or bad? Green or orange? I wish it was more of a bright red, but green or orange will tell you whether it's good or bad, because you can't just look at up or down. You need to understand it in context, whether it's good or bad. So I love the color visuals up there. I think that's helpful.
Yeah, it's great for just getting an idea as to where this conversation is headed. And so that you can drill into those types of things, maybe even include, if you wanted to, the expenses in this case is clearly the one that increased for the bad. And then you can provide that report alongside of that, so you can drill into that, and then again have that conversation where it's okay. What do we need to do to move forward, and maybe take a look at some of those expenses? Where did those expenses come from? Were they? Was it because there was, an outside factor that you didn't know of? So that's a great way to start. Having that conversation, and then having these reviews eventually, routinely, will allow you then to monitor how these things are actually going.
And Dan, I just want to share a story with some people to tell them how important it is to be monitoring these things. So this was years ago when I had a client that had a sandwich shop. And this was, where I was doing the monthly bookkeeping, and I'd give him the monthly books, and he'd, I'd say, hey, Charlie, hey, let's talk about some of this stuff. I noticed your gross profit declining. Yeah, I'm busy. The freezer broke and I got to deal with that. And he'd open the drawer, throw the financials in there, close the drawer, and move on, right? Next month, hey, Charlie, I'd like to talk to you about your gross profit margin. It doesn't look good. Something's going on. Yeah, so-and-so called in sick, and so-and-so's out, and I'm busy. I don't have time. Opens the drawer, throws the financials, closes the drawer, moves on, right? So it was months before I got this guy to listen to me, right? It's so frustrating as an accounting professional. And now I think I do a better job of, hey, sit. You know what I mean? I'm a little more forceful. But anyway, when we got looking into it, the gross profit margin is declining. The gross profit margin is made up of sales and income and your cost of goods sold. So either our sales aren't high, or something's going on with our sales and they're declining. Well, no, the volume was still pretty safe. Do you have employees that are giving free meals to their friends when they come in? You have teenagers a lot of times working in these places. Are they giving away free food? Are they giving somebody the extra large and charging them a small or a kid's meal? So is there something going on with sales? Or cost of goods sold? Is that increased because your suppliers increase the prices? Maybe you need to increase the prices you're charging. Maybe you need to look for another supplier. Maybe you need to try to renegotiate your terms. Do you have more waste? Are people doing things wrong in spoilage and they're not taking care of the food properly? Do you need to address that issue? Or what we had going on, we had two guys taking cases of meat out the back door, and they had been stealing for him for months before he started listening to me and looking into this. These ratios can help you monitor what's going on. And you have to start asking questions. Why is the gross profit margin deteriorating? What's going on? What could it be, to identify the problem and the issue so that you can address it? And the sooner you address it, the better. You don't want to wait months while they're stealing from you, or while people need to be retrained because there's excess waste from the food, or, whatever the issue is, the sooner you address it, the better. And this is where, if we are advising our client and talking to them and monitoring for them, can make a huge difference in their business. Half of these businesses are going to fail, especially if they don't have an accounting professional. We can truly make a huge impact in their business. And this tool, I just love it because it can be so impactful when we're working with our clients. So that's just one example of many of how this stuff can help us.
That's an awesome story. Now somebody asked, where do I change the industry? So that's if it's available, if the industry is there. I mean, you could probably, if you're looking at this with multiple clients, some may have this and some may not. But the industry is going to be here in the middle here, and then there's pencil just to the right of that. And when you click on that, if I were to click on it, then you can just type in. Let's see, it's a retail business. Then you can just type that, and then the smart search will come in for every other associated business that would have that in it.
And Dan, when you get done with that, could you also show them how to get to this again? Because we have some people saying they can't get it, they can't find it.
Yeah. So that's going to be under overview, when you're in a client, and then business performance. If you just happen to click on overview, then you can also click on the tab as well. So business performance is going to be there. If you are using a client that is using QBO Advanced, it's going to be available there'll be a sub menu in reports. So if you go into there, and then there'll be a sub menu for business overview, and anybody can access that with the sensitive reporting or the company admin access, not just the accountant in QBO Advanced.
And another great question, Dan, that we should talk about: how would this work if they keep AR in another program? Should we journal it just for the report? So if you're telling me they have accounts receivable in another program, that means they have like a third-party app, or they have some other program that they're using. If you're talking about accounts receivable, that goes along with sales, that goes along with deposits. So somehow you have to be getting that recorded from that third-party app into QuickBooks. And we talk in the advanced training module 3 about doing a daily sales summary, where you can manually record those things to get them into QuickBooks. So you'll see information out here. But then the other thing is, you probably want to work on getting an integration. There are tools and apps that can allow you to integrate that third-party app or tool that you're using for sales, integrate that with QuickBooks. So that's something to think about and keep in mind too.
Yeah, I mean, the information that you're going to get out of this tool is going to be based on the information that's in QuickBooks. So the adage of garbage in, you're going to have garbage out. If you don't have that information in there, or if you're using daily sales summaries, that's going to skip over accounts receivable altogether. So however much detail that you want to put in to QuickBooks is going to be how much detail you're going to be able to get out of it. And again, you may find that this tool doesn't fit your needs. You may need to use some other third party that combines the two to be able to get those dashboards, like QVinci or something like that could actually connect those things together.
Mm-hmm. And then Dan, somebody asked, is there a way to change it to the cash method? And the things I want to say about that is, a lot of times, if your clients are cash basis for tax purposes, first of all, they're not truly cash a lot of times. They're usually modified cash or modified accrual. But the other thing is, from a management perspective, because what we're talking about here is more management reporting. And that's what they need for their business, is management reporting to know what's going on. And so you probably want to look at these things on an accrual report, even though they might be cash basis for tax purposes. You'll want to look at these ratios and these reports and things like that on an accrual basis. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, and
Yes.
some of the cash basis reports in QBO aren't what you expect them to do. Expect them to be, especially if they're using things like inventory and things like that. Those reports don't look the way you would hope them to, and so that's a good point. Looking at things to make plans is best on an accrual basis.
Yes. So another thing is I put a link in there in the chat, something called bizstats.com, bizstats.com. And I'm pretty sure in those two webinars that we gave you the link to, I'm pretty sure I talked about it in there as well. But bizstats.com allows you to go pull those industry averages for free yourself. They're like a year old if it's free. Otherwise, you got to pay for it. But it's still very relevant, very useful information. So where Dan was showing you to look for the industry, if you don't see your particular industry, you can go look out there. And at bizstats.com, you can actually put in whether it's a corporation or whether it's a sole proprietor and things like that. So you can do it by size or entity type in addition to the industry. So that's a useful resource out there as well.
Okay. So we're coming in for a landing here. So last poll, just simple enough. Did you learn something new today? If I could launch it right, there we go. So somebody asked while you're going ahead and answering, will we get a copy of this program so we can review it later? Yeah, you can always go to Michelle's YouTube channel. They'll be up there. We're actually streaming it live, assuming nothing broke in the feed. So it'll be available there right away. I'm going to trim some of the stuff off of it a little bit later so we don't have the awkward silence at the beginning and the and the end. But yeah, you should be able to watch it right away. There's the podcast as well. So you don't necessarily have to review, join us live. You can always do this on your schedule as well.
And Dan, somebody asked, can you run this report by location? When you're looking at those ratios, it's company-wide, but that would be great if we could filter and look at the ratios by class or by location or by customer job if you're using jobs or projects. So when you remember, this is still beta and it's still a V1, if you will, it's something new. Send that feedback into Intuit and tell them, I would love to filter by class or by location and things like that so that you can keep submitting your feedback in there. The other thing I just want to point out too about monitoring those ratios, if your client has a bank loan, and especially now, given the current situation, a lot of times when they have a bank loan, it does have loan covenants. That bank loan may require that they keep a quick asset ratio above 1. It may require their debt to equity ratio be below 2, or it may require this or that. You can monitor the ratios to make sure they're in compliance with their loan covenants. So that's another service, that you can be offering to your clients is, hey, we will monitor your KPIs to ensure compliance with your loan covenants. So you might want to look into that as well and kind of check that out. Awesome. Somebody else said it would be great to be able to pick custom dates. Yeah, so send that feedback in for Intuit. As you have ideas and feedback, please send that into them.
Awesome. Well, 98% of you learned something new today, so that's awesome.
Yay!
So some upcoming events. Again, you can always go to QB Power Hour to review. Also, these those links for being able to go to the podcast or the webinar archive. But coming up, we're give the first Tuesday of every month for the next 3 months is going to be all about QBO Advanced. So next is what it will do. So we're going to have a little deeper dive into the QBO Advanced features. So we'll probably touch on this again because this is the business performance is something that QBO Advanced will do. We're going to have simplifying accounting in e-commerce with Webgility the end of June, and then more QBO Advanced panel discussions and the roadmap. And then if you need CPA credit, because we don't do CPA credit anymore, going into the QBtrainingevents.com and you can register for those are all webinars now, right?
Yes, we have webinars every month. I'm getting ready to jump on one here in 2 minutes. So
Okay.
yes, there's ongoing webinars every month as well as a virtual conference every month. So if you need CPE, that's a great place to get it. Plus, there's a lot of great training there other than just certification training. There's other great training topics as well. So please check it out and register and join us at qbtrainingevents.com. And those of you that joined us today, thank you very much. Very glad to have you all joining us. Dan, thank you so much. I appreciate it tremendously. And I hope
a great time.
hope everybody is staying safe and staying sane. We can't lose our minds in this unprecedented time. So stay safe and healthy, everyone. And thank you guys for everything. Thanks, Dan.
Thanks for joining us. I hope you have a great day.
We hope you enjoyed listening to the QB Power Hour podcast. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in our Facebook group. You can find those resources and much more at qbpowerhour.com.